Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Siddharth Adke, aka CyberGeek. The next frame, you will be seeing Ashish Rajan introducing himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashish Rajan. I am the host of Cloud Security Podcast, YouTube channel, as well as the audio podcast on all your podcast platforms. I have been in cybersecurity for 14 years, and I transitioned onto doing cybersecurity from the career of being an identity access management system person. So IAM, for people who don't know what it is. Then I became a security architect, security engineer, cloud security architect, did manage a SOC team as well, and started doing GRC, and finally got my CISO role. After being a CISO for some time, I decided to transition onto my side hustle, which catch on fire, for lack of a better word. Got really popular. And it's called Cloud Security Podcast. You can find us on www.cloudsecuritypodcast.tv. We go live stream every weekend. That's right. Every weekend, we talk to professionals in cloud security from companies like Netflix, Twilio, and a lot more to share how professionals around the world are doing cloud security. So I'll look forward to seeing you at the YouTube channel. Otherwise, I'll see you when I talk to Siddharth.
So my first question will be, what is cybersecurity according to you? How will you define it?
Sure. So as someone who's been a CISO who has also been a practitioner for different fields within cybersecurity, I would say cybersecurity is a function within a business that helps identify risk to the business. They're not the ones solving the risk. They're just the guide in governing what the risk is and whether the risk that is being currently held by the organization is within the tolerance of the business. Now, to keep that really simple, a risk is possibly, say, for example, you are running a YouTube channel. The risk is tomorrow, if you don't upload a video, the algorithm hates you. And then next thing you know, you don't get any subscribers or anything. So that's the risk you're carrying with. What you can do against the risk is you can make sure that, so for example, now with Cloud Security Podcast, I'm a full-time YouTuber and a podcaster. I make sure I upload video once every week. I've been doing that for the past 3 years, and it's been growing so steadily. And I think we get about 10,000 downloads or something and 10,000 viewership. It's like a weird number, but essentially the goal is the risk. I'm managing the risk by making sure I ongoingly do this. So that's the same thing with cybersecurity as well. That's a function in a business context. In a personal context, it's more like how do you save your data in a way that you're not leaving a digital footprint so people can't misuse the information. So that helps. Hopefully that helps.
My next question will be hitting you like, what made you start with the channel?
I think so. This was the start of the pandemic, and I've always been interested in videos from a long time. I've been doing men's fashion videos before doing cybersecurity videos. So when the pandemic happened, it was almost like a natural transition for people were reaching out to me to identify, hey, I want to know more about cloud security. Where do I find out about it? How do I find out about it? And that basically became a conversation that I'll have with a few other people. And they said, hey, actually, you know what? Me and Siddharth are talking right now. This could be a great episode for a podcast. Why don't you start that? So I'm like, well, I guess it's already a video call, so why not just record the call as well? So that's kind of how the first few videos basically came across. So, but I was already into videos before. So for me, it was an easier transition. And that's kind of what it became like a thing, I guess.
So next thing I would start up with what made you shift up your career to cybersecurity? Means before getting up with the men's styling video. So you were at that time too, you were studying up with cybersecurity, I guess. So what?
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So what made you actually to go with cybersecurity itself?
Oh, right. Okay. So cybersecurity was a lot longer, a lot before that. So I had my Hotmail account hacked, and that was kind of one of the reasons why I got into cybersecurity. That was ages ago. And I decided to formally study in cybersecurity, did a bachelor's degree, did a master's degree, and I was already on the path. So for me, doing a side hustle was always a thing. So I was a bartender while I was doing university. I was a men's fashion person while I was still working in cybersecurity. But I never really thought that the one thing that I'll start as a side hustle would become it like a full-time job. So I've always been part of this thing. So I guess I've never, the first thing that happened with me, which was the fact that, oh, I can no longer be not in control of how my digital profile is. That's what made me go down the path of doing cybersecurity as a subject.
Okay. So as you mentioned, it was already with you actually. The cybersecurity was always with you, directly or indirectly. So
Yeah.
there are a couple of people who are looking to shift up their careers from like software testing, or maybe there are I've met some people who are actually who in some into different field itself, totally not related to IT, but into total different field up. So,
Yep.
and then they shifted to cybersecurity. Even I'll be getting up with them too. So, as far as your concern, means what all things should be taken care of while shifting up with your career into the cybersecurity and thing. So, and you
Mhm.
wanted to shift up to the cybersecurity. So, what all things that person should be taking care of, means what all skill set they should be having as a beginner in the cybersecurity.
I think the foundational pieces should definitely be covered. I think we get a lot of questions around people wanting to start their career in cybersecurity. And I think it's worthwhile knowing that if you have never done IT before, having the IT foundational pieces or IT fundamentals is important because you're doing cybersecurity for IT. So if you don't know IT, how can you do cybersecurity for it? So it doesn't mean you have to be like, become an IT person or become, I mean, everyone is technical. We're using Zoom over here,
Yeah.
where people use Facebook. But if you were to talk to my parents or some of the older folks out there, they don't even know how to use Zoom or they don't know how to, but for them, we are technical people. So it's only the meter for what do you feel you are okay to learn and you're motivated to learn. So you may have learned how to operate Facebook, like how do I post a picture, or how to post a picture on Instagram, how to post a video on TikTok. But what you may not have done is what you would have just gone, oh, well, I guess this is IT is really hard because I don't know what's anything. The same way you are motivated to learn how to post a picture or on Instagram or a video on TikTok, if you kind of use that same motivation, I want to do cybersecurity, so I probably want to learn how to do IT. And as long as I have the right IT fundamentals, I think you'll be good. That's kind of where most of this is coming from. So if you are looking to transition on from another career onto cybersecurity, start with the IT foundations, like your networking, what some of the common terminology are. There's some certifications like CompTIA Plus, Network Security Plus, Security Plus, Network Plus. There are quite a few certifications that can help you build on a foundation. And the second thing, which I would say, which did not exist when I was starting out in IT, but nowadays is a great resource, is to be able to attend meetups in IT space or in cybersecurity. That is a great way to meet other people. Like that's how you and I met as well. We met at a conference. Yeah. So like this thing would not even happen if you were not like you didn't say hi, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll come on your show, and I think it kind of becomes a thing. And I'm glad it's the first video as well on your YouTube, so at least that kind of sets the standard. Maybe it may even force you to continue doing more videos every week, so you get into the rhythm. So from that perspective, I think the same analogy would go for anyone who's trying to go into cybersecurity as well. That either you can find a mentor, or you can even find people who may even recruit you if you go to meetups and stuff as well. So those are the two recommendations I'll give for people who are trying to transition from a non-IT field into, I guess, cybersecurity.
So my previous question was like people who are shifting their careers from different field who are in IT. So this question will be like, what are the things the people can do if they are already into IT field, but who are into like different roles actually, job roles, like a software developer, full stack developer, as in like we can say the entry level jobs, as in like we can say the software tester. For those people, what are things you would be recommending to them? Actually, there are like we got like information security manager, the network security manager. Over here too, we got like different job profiles at the entry level too. Like a SOC analyst is the entry level, cybersecurity consultant is an entry level. So what all things they should be doing up for getting up with these roles? Even these things actually kind of become a hurdle when you get into cybersecurity, as in like people get stuck up with like what job profile they should be going for.
Yeah, so depending on whether you are an engineering person or whether you are a non-technical person, you may want to choose the field accordingly. So for example, if you are a technical person, you might look at cloud security engineer roles. And those may be a better start than going, say, straight for like a senior role, for example. Like cloud security engineers are a great role for people who are engineers or technical people in general. They're the ones who are doing DevOps. They're the ones who are doing your automation, things like that. If you are a non-technical person, I probably would start looking at some kind of a project coordination. I mean, that's just one example, but there are plenty more. There's more around training as well in terms of non-technical parts that you can cover, delivering projects that are in the space as well. So there's quite a few things you can do as a non-technical person as well. But it's about finding what is that you want to do is probably the better way to put it. Because we can give you all kinds of messages, but what it does is it sends you on a path which may or may not be suited for you. But if you kind of take a moment to understand, oh, am I a technical person? And it doesn't even matter if you don't even know where to start. Like, for example, you know what, you start, I'm not sure where to start, so you just go straight for cloud security engineer. You hate it after 2 months. You can change your job. There's no one stopping you. You can change and try another field. This is the part about being that flexible when you have started, I guess, quite early in your career or just starting new. Like for me, after being in cybersecurity for 14 years, it took a lot of thought for me to go, okay, do I really want to be a full-time YouTuber podcaster on Cloud Security Podcast? So for people who are starting today, you don't have anything to lose. It's like, well, oh my God, lost 2 years. I'm like, here I'm talking about 14 and you're like talking about 2. So the context is definitely worthwhile understanding at that point in time.
Okay. That brings up with my next question is like, what did pandemic affect us? Like in terms of cybersecurity, like how it was before and how it got transitioned to the most important topic, most hot topics, as compared to pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Means, how would you describe that actually?
I would say it definitely got a bit more complex. So before the pandemic, cybersecurity was pretty much the same as it has always been, at least for the past 10 plus years of my career. Or after COVID and during COVID, it transitioned quite quickly onto remote employees. How do you protect remote employees when they're not in your office? How do you protect remote employees when they have to share computers with their family members? And there is a supply chain thing going on. How do you share, like from a context of, say, Indian culture perspective, if there is one shared computer, your dad might use it, your mom might use it, you would use it, but you want to do office work on there, but you've ordered a new MacBook or a new Windows machine, but it would not arrive for 3 months. So do you not work? You still have to work. So you use a shared computer, but how do you keep the organization secure while an employee has to use a shared computer? Like challenges like those became more important. Although now we feel after the pandemic is, I guess, slowed down a bit, it definitely is coming back to what it used to be. So focus is back on what are some of the projects that were stopped before the pandemic started, but during the pandemic, that was the biggest transition.
Okay. So as in what I can say is like the pandemic affected like many job roles were shifted from the normal routine to cybersecurity. And I can say the compliance issues were the most actually during the pandemic, if I'm not wrong, as far as even
compliance issues definitely were challenged. I think a lot of people were accepting a lot of risks as well. We have to agree to this risk because there is no way for us to function as a business if we don't work on this as well. Yeah, so on the money there for compliance as well.
Okay. So as in what we can say is like the pandemic has brought up a rise to the many of the more new technologies, as in we can say that too, like and new technologies will just we get new bugs, new viruses, all this stuff. And whereas I can see there are a couple of new ransomwares too came up, like security reason came up like a total into what we can say the prime factor for the companies these days. And we are seeing it like a couple of companies getting the ransomware messages. Like recently, one of the ransomware came up, and apart from that, the most famous I can say was WannaCry ransomware, the Bad Rabbit attack, which I know it's new, but it was like these ransomwares were like a couple of I can say the most hit. And at that time, the cybersecurity after that cybersecurity it a bit more seriously as compared to earlier. Even though prior to that, company used to take cybersecurity as a prime what you can say the prime thing. But
Yeah.
during these attacks, as these attacks grew up, the virus attacks, the ransomware attacks grew up. The company started taking it seriously, and they started to build up a team of cybersecurity. As far as I know, means as far as I've seen actually, prior these attacks, there were no as such like a cybersec team. Like in the big organizations like Google, Facebook, they used to have it. But now with the companies like who have like moderate amount of employees, like of thousands or 10,000 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that too. As in like, so how would you describe like the previous scenario, then during the pandemic, and along with that, like 2 to 3 years prior pandemic, and now the post thing means how would you describe these transition? Means how did cybersecurity grew over the years? As in, you can say from the time you started your cybersecurity, your career in cybersecurity till now, means what transitions took place?
Transition from a technology, or transition from a business priority, or transition from like what kind of, what would you like to
Transition as
say?
in like overall transition. I can go for it. Means that would give us a nice big idea. Means as in
Sure.
like what we can say, how it is been
So
actually.
the biggest transition that has happened is that having cloud being introduced into the industry has made the organizations a bit more, how do I put this? So everything that we had learned about security before, that we had to unlearn that in cloud.
Okay.
And that was probably the biggest transformation that many people had to go through. And funny enough, the reason for all of this was digital transformation as well, where people were recognizing, oh, now we have the technology like cloud to automate a lot of things. So we should not be doing things that the way we used to. So that was probably the biggest transition that I saw from when I started working in cybersecurity 14 years ago to now. Another one is also the fact that cybersecurity is always important. Now it's become even more important with all the breaches being announced a lot more. A lot of businesses are understanding the risk for it as well. A lot of businesses are identifying the fact that, oh, now my board members, who are probably the main, I guess, the top level people in a company, now they can be held responsible for a breach as well if they don't value it. So that's probably the biggest transition from when I started to today.
Okay. So as in we can say like companies took it very as a serious issue. Many of the NGOs started taking it as an initiative. They started going from school to school, telling up the students what cybersecurity is actually. As far as I have seen,
Wow,
yeah.
that's pretty cool, man.
So these all transition I have seen, and apart from that, there is one I got to know during the expo itself. During the cybersecurity expo, even the UK government, under the UK government, there is a program called Cybersecurity Explorers. Over there, they go for the 12 to 14-year-old kid, and they explain up the cybersecurity essentials, what all things they can do to secure their system on their own primary level, on the ground level. So I've seen that. So right now, you're a a well-known person in the cybersecurity field. So if you would be the beginner, I mean, or else I can give you a condition. I'm a beginner. So what all things you would be recommending me to get up with the things actually to secure my own system?
Uh, I would start with just a password manager as the most simplest thing you can do. The other one is turning on, wherever possible, turning off a 2FA or two-factor authentication. If you do those two things, and have unique passwords. That's why you have a password manager. You have unique passwords in each account that you log into. And whenever you go on free Wi-Fi, use VPN. Those three things are usually more than enough for you to do, I guess, be fairly secure. I mean, you can go next level up and have antiviruses and stuff as well, like a paid one, not a pirated antivirus, like a paid version of an antivirus. So things like that can definitely help boost up. Like if you are really technical, you can even look at what's on your network, on your home network, and keeping an eye on, and whenever a new device gets added, or for whatever reason, that should be an alert on your thing. So you can probably take quite a bit, and depending on how paranoid you get. But I think from a basic perspective, if you have a password manager to make sure you have a unique password for every account that you have on the internet, no same passwords anywhere, having two-factor authentication, and when you're using free Wi-Fi or free resources, just make sure you have VPN turned on. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so that concludes the episode. I would like to thank you, and thank you for coming up to my. Thank you for agreeing to coming up to my episode. Probably this is the first one. Actually, I'm starting up with you itself. It goes well, and I'll be able and hope sure I'll be able to make more and more people educate about the cybersecurity along with you.
Sounds good, man. And thanks for having me as your first guest as well. I really appreciate it. Irrespective of how this goes, I would still hope you can still keep creating videos. So that's my hope. That's why I agreed to come on the thing as well. So I want to inspire you to at least, and anyone else who's watching, to make sure if they want to do something, even as a side hustle, I'm a living proof that side hustle can become a thing even after 14 years. So just keep hustling.
All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you for watching the video. Hope you liked it. And in the next part, we'll be getting up with in more detailed context, like how you can start up with the courses, or else you can get up with a job profile, and what are the skill sets which are required to get along with it. And apart from that, we will be sharing up with the course names so that it will be easier for you to look up for them, and hope it will be helpful for you.